The latest Star Trek Short Treks episode is now airing on CBS All Access, so we had to dive into this new adventure of Anson Captain Christopher Pike and check it out for ourselves.
A few hours ago, the Enterprise picked up a distress call from the USS Bowman. I need you to let me out of here.
You're a prisoner. Your orders carry no weight anymore.
Cadet, I am giving you a direct order to release me.
That only applies to an active captain.
When this is all done, you will never see the inside of a starship again.
Hello everyone, my name is Captain Jack and welcome to Trek Central. Today we're analysing and reviewing the latest Star Trek Short Treks episode, Ask Not. This episode is the third Enterprise short trek to beam down to us, featuring Captain Christopher Pike, played by the ever so amazing Anson Mount. Actress Amrit Kaur plays Cadet Thyro Sidhu in this episode and does a stellar job at it. Before we jump in, there is still no word on when the short treks will air for international viewers, but we'll keep you updated as soon as we get news on this topic. Secondly, this video will contain spoilers about this short trek adventure, so this is your warning to click away. Alright, let's jump in and have a look at Ask Not. Hit it. Okay, this episode kicks off as the teaser trailer led us to believe, with a supposed attack on Starbase 28. Cadet Sidhu is assigned to a section of the starbase called Inventory 2, most likely a cargo area on board the starbase. Interestingly, the starbase is at yellow alert even though we're under attack and the walls are blowing up. Surely in my book that would constitute a red alert, but maybe not in this circumstance. Before the walls blow out and knock the red shirt cadet down, we see displays of Starbase 28 on the screens behind her. Note they feature two Constitution-class starships, one which is most likely the Enterprise. This is sort of confirmed in the later half of the episode. As mentioned, Cadet Sidhu is knocked to the ground by the explosions of the starbase walls. Seriously, Starfleet, stop putting sand and rocks in the computers, honestly. Now she's awoken to find the room shattered with alarms blaring and the station supposedly under heavy attack, with what the comm officer says multiple fires. This is where more of the teaser starts to link in, with two security officers entering with a man being escorted between them with his face covered. Obviously we've already guessed that the man with his face covered is Captain Pike. This is later confirmed when the security officer removes the cover. The officer informs the still shocked cadet that the starbase is under attack and damaged. As such, they can't put the prisoner they're holding into the brig. Honestly, this is where I thought something was up, to be honest, especially with the following. Cadet Sidhu is told the prisoner is in her hands and he's charged with mutiny. Now I'm going to be honest, I have no military expertise whatsoever, but I would not trust a cadet with a prisoner, especially a prisoner who's just mutinied, though my suspicions were later confirmed. Once the officer removes the prisoner's cover, it's confirmed it is Captain Pike. Shocker. Pike's committed mutiny? No, not my Pike. He could never do that. I think Cadet Sidhu is as shocked as the viewers at this point, especially as she freezes, which is revealed and shockingly asks Captain Pike, once the officer and the guard leaves. Following a door closure, Pike jumps into his typical Starfleet captain mode of assuming command in a tense and dangerous situation. It's almost as if this short trek is set up to display his command ability and his activeness towards the situation. I like it. Now, Pike supposedly being a prisoner who just mutinied does not go down well with the cadet, especially when he starts issuing orders. Still shocked, Cadet Sidhu stutters telling the captain that he's a prisoner and his orders carry no weight anymore as the station rattles around him. I do like Pike's calm approach, following her stutter. As you can gather, we're in the middle of a situation here, he says. To a now confused and shocked captain, the cadet whose confidence is boosted asks him to take a seat and remain silent. There is this interesting scene where it shows that the two are staring each other down, almost as if they're analysing each other and what to do next in this situation. Pike, still with his cool and calm approach, informs the cadet as she looks around that lives are indeed at stake here. Things get even more interesting when Pike, who is still moving around the room as if he were asserting dominance, informs her that the USS Enterprise picked up a distress call from a USS Bowman. This again shocks the cadet, who gets cut off by Pike when asking about the ship. Pike does indeed ask to be let out, but is met with the answer of the cadet risking a court-martial. Clearly it's displayed she's sticking to her Starfleet training here, exactly what you want from one of your Starfleet cadets. It's then revealed that the USS Enterprise has supposedly approached the USS Bowman, only to find she was adrift and dead in the water. According to an encrypted hail from the ship's admiral, a group of Folians had seized the ship. I found this part particularly interesting, especially because of Folians and the love of stealing Starfleet ships apparently. Poor USS Defiant. Cadet Sidhu points out what some of us were thinking, with the fact the Folians were most likely after the USS Enterprise and her crew. Pike mentions that the Admiral on board had ordered him and the Enterprise to steer clear, but he couldn't abandon the Bowman's crew and leave the Admiral. It later turns out that the retrieved admiral aborted the rescue mission from the USS Barrowman and her crew, and therefore Pike decided to step in, but was removed on the charge of mutiny. This here matches up with Pike's character again. It's like this short trek is displaying some of his finer qualities. Similar to elements of Star Trek Discovery, Captain Pike wants to leave no one behind. The captain works out that Cadet Sidhu has people on board the USS Barrowman, which is revealed to be her husband, and that they both previously survived a Tholian attack on beryllium. It's revealed that both the cadet and the husband had applied for positions on board the USS Enterprise, with Sidhu wanting a place in the engineering division, though she was rejected and assigned to Starbase 28 and her husband assigned to the Bowman. The next scene stands out. Pike says, "You can ensure your husband survives them a second time," implying the Tholians. This would convince many people to suddenly jump to save someone they love, especially a family member, but the ultimate sacrifice is letting them go to honour the mission essentially. Many Starfleet officers have shown the ability to put not only their own life, but the others for greater good, so can the cadet do the same? Pike attempts to convince her by saying maybe we can pull off some sort of miracle and get them out of here. For a moment this almost convinces a cadet who is mesmerised by the idea, with Pike asking, "What do you say, cadet?" As many of us would, she stutters saying I, before making the choice of saying no and following her orders. This begins what I can only call the Battle of Regulations, as both Pike and the cadet battle out by quoting any Starfleet regulation they can think of to get out of this mess. The captain then suggests using a loophole for the cadet to reinstate him, so he can save the day, but she informs him that that's not her style. I do love that Starfleet have loopholes in their regulations, and I do wonder if that type of thing has been put there on purpose or not. Now here's where it gets interesting. Cadet Sidhu states the following. Directive 010 states before engaging in battle, any and all attempts to achieve a non-military resolution must be made. A true Starfleet statement if I've ever heard one. At this point, I'm really starting to get the feeling that this is some sort of test for the young cadet, especially with Pike replying with the following statement. "You want to negotiate with the bastards using torpedoes on us?" Why, for some reason, I love it when the captain swears. I have no idea why, but there's something cool about it, and I can just imagine him swearing and firing off a bunch of Enterprise weapons. Maybe that's just me. Things are now getting tense, especially as the captain informs us and the cadet that time is running out for the crew of the Enterprise and her husband. Though, still sticking to her training, the cadet states she and her husband knew what they signed up for when they joined Starfleet, still displaying the qualities which the organisation look for. Pike attempts one last time to use regulations to his defence, but the cadet still stands strong, citing that she'll follow her orders and training, and that he is staying in his restraints. This is where we get the trailer scene of Pike now threatening the cadet that she'll never see the light of day again. Things match up here, especially with the speculation we had on this being a training mission or simulation. I could not imagine Pike threatening a young cadet with the idea she might never see the inside of a starship again. It's just honestly not his style, especially in a situation like this. It's clear at this point it is a test. Armed with a phaser, which is charged, the cadet points it at the captain asking him to step away from the door. With the music getting tense and the lights blurring, the scene comes to its climax with Pike dropping his acting and speaking to someone on the comm saying, "Oh, she's good," following by removing his own restraints. It's now revealed that this is all a test for the cadet, who's probably still shocked and confused by this point. Her husband turns out to be fine, and now the calm and collected captain apologises for what she's been through in this short space of time. The following sentence, I know that a challenge like this might seem extreme, even inhumane, but war is both of those things. Essentially, Pike is testing to see how the cadet handled under pressure, even when old wounds are triggered, the Tholians, and loved ones are put on the lines. The young cadet asks what we're all thinking. Why you? To which the captain asks her to meet him in the transporter room. I think we know where this is all going at this point. The now impressed but still shocked cadet beams onto the USS Enterprise with Captain Pike to meet two familiar officers. Spock and Number 1. Cadet Farah Sidhu says what we all think on seeing the Enterprise in that she is beautiful. The cadet is now assigned to be serving on the Enterprise for the rest of the semester, another shock and surprise to her. Number 1 then provides further context by stating that the original rejection from the USS Enterprise was all part of a plan. Now the next comment by Spock did make me laugh. He says we've all learned to expect no mercy from Number 1, which catches a glance from a stalwart first officer. Flash to the next scene and we're introduced to the engineering room of the USS Enterprise. The surprise and enjoyment on the cadet's face matches the view, as I would imagine, with being shown the engine room of Pike's Enterprise. Like holy hell. The room looks a little different to what we see on the typical Constitution class's engineering section, but my favourite little detail is the use of a .6 droids. The droids were last seen in the season final of Star Trek Discovery Season 2 and were tasked with repairing the hull of the Enterprise. I like to think this places the short trek before the events of Discovery, but that is not 100% guaranteed as the .6s could have been used for a long time afterwards. Finally, Pike informs the cadet as he departs that if she holds on to herself as she did in the test, she'll get on just fine. Now the cadet asks an interesting question to the captain before he leaves. Was the phaser she aimed at him operational? To which Pike smiles and leaves with, "See you around." Both the director and writer did a great job on this short track, and even though it may have been the shortest track we've gotten so far, it covered so much ground in such little time, in a successful way, which is just a statement to the work those behind the camera did. The music was also amazing, done by Andrea Datsun, with being Trek yet new all the same. And that's a wrap, or is it? As we get our first look at the teaser for the two animated shorts, Ephraim and Dot, and The Girl Who Made the Stars, coming December 12th. The style of both these animations are very different and distinctive, which I really like. Short Trek should be used as a playground, and we have seen that in the varying live-action Treks we've gotten so far, and seeing them play around with different styles of animation is also refreshing, and I can't wait to see what they do. Ephraim and Dot shows us a beautiful shot of the USS Enterprise, which we can tell by the NCC 1701 painting on the hull. We then see a Dot 6 droid and a spacefaring lizard-like creature, which looks very much like a tardigrade to me. These are possibly Ephraim and Dot. I will say that the character models look quite animatronic-like and not the final stage of render compared to that of a ship, but we will see in a month's time. Ephraim and Dot will be directed and scored by Michael Giangio, known for doing the scores of the Kelvin movies, and also worked as a supervising composer on the entirety of the second batch of short treks. The Girl Who Made the Stars, which is also airing on December 12th, looks very much like a Pixar style of animation, and it does look beautiful. We didn't get too much from the teaser, but I am looking forward to it nonetheless. Most likely this short trek ties in with Michael Burnham's story in the first episode of Season 2 of Star Trek Discovery. Go watch that if you want to catch up on it. Okay, time for some of our thoughts. Honestly, this short trek was great. It showed the best of Captain Christopher Pike and his ability to command any situation, but at the same time showed us the best qualities of a Starfleet officer. This is something Pike himself represents. The tie-ins with the Folians and stating Starfleet regulations were excellent. The suspense held up at certain points, but I found you could tell that the charade was coming down, to be honest. Either way, still a good story. Now some might say this is almost a goodbye from Pike and his crew, as it's the last live-action adventure we'll see from them for a while, but honestly, I don't think it is. We've been introduced to a brand new Enterprise crew member, and I really feel like they're setting us up for something. Maybe a Pike show. I mean, come on, we've got our main three cast members, a few key bridge officers, and our brand new fresh-faced cadet joining the crew. All they need is a series name, and we're ready to go at this point. I strongly believe that this short trek serves as another setup for the series that is yet to be announced. CBS and Alex Kurtzman, what are you waiting for? Come on! But in all seriousness regarding a Captain Pike show, as many of you asked us, I don't think it'll be announced yet, not until Starship Picard has finished, simply because CBS and the executives want to see how that show was going to do. So let's wait and see, and maybe next year we'll get something new. Okay everyone, that's it for Ask Not, the latest Star Trek short trek. You can watch it right now on CBS All Access for US viewers and CraveTV for Canadian viewers. Share your opinions and thoughts via our comments section below. If you want to keep up to date with the latest Star Trek news, lore and more, then make sure to subscribe to Trek Central here on YouTube. You can also follow us on social media or check out our website for new articles every week. I've been Captain Jack, thanks for watching, and as always, live long and prosper.